I do not want to read the third book. I don't want to watch the third season. Genuinely don't plan on watching the third season or acknowledge it as canon. Same with the books. So I know I said it, but everyone and their mom has been watching The Summer I Turned Pretty season 3. Like literally, my mom, she hasn't watched, but she also told me she knew of the show and she was like, "Oh, I've heard of this show there. Should I maybe watch it? Like, would you recommend it?" And my mom doesn't watch anything ever, okay? And a friend has been pressuring me to watch it, so I succumb to the pressure. It's fine, okay? Here we are. So I read the third book of The Summer I Turned Pretty. I've also now watched the TV show. But first, here is the vlog part, I guess, of me reading the third book of The Summer I Turned Pretty on my vacation. And after that, I think we'll talk about it a little bit more deeply because I really did not want to film much on vacation. But I felt like I had to with this book. Maybe we're gonna go a little bit more deeper into my thoughts and then we're gonna compare with the TV show because on that I have a lot of thoughts. So I'm already telling you right now, if you have not read the third book or watched the third season, this is not the video for you because I need to talk about it. I need to talk about everything. So maybe come back after you've watched it or read the book or both, whatever you want to do. So yeah, let's get into it, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start the third book. I know I'm a hypocrite because I have said I will never read this book and I just wanna be delusional and live my beautiful life where technically everything is fine because Conrad still sucks and Belly and Jeremiah just got together and Jeremiah has been a cutie. But the peer pressure got to me, okay? I needed to know how it ends. Also, a friend of mine has been telling me to watch the goddamn third season so much. And he just said, I have to watch it. And so I feel like I can't watch the third season if I haven't read the third book. So we will do it now. I know I said I didn't want to, but like, here I am. And we're gonna start now. And I'm gonna stop talking. So let's go. Chapter 1. Okay, so Taylor and Belly still have a really weird friendship. I think I said this before, but I feel like in the TV show, Taylor is just great. We just love her. In the books, Taylor and Belly just have this like really awkward girl friendship where you just kind of hate each other, but you're still friends. And I never understood why anyone would do that, and I hope no one actually does that, but that's their friendship in the book. And so far, it hasn't changed in the third one. So Jeremiah can do laundry. Okay, so far Jeremiah has genuinely only been great. So this random girl talked to him that kind of has a crush on him, I guess. And when Belly came there, she felt a little awkward. But Jeremiah immediately went, Lacey's gonna study, blah, blah, blah. So he talked to her, but then immediately went, we want to go backpacking in Europe next summer. So turning it around on his relationship again and showing that him and Belly are good. And then he also says we're going to France. Belly speaks really fluent French. So again, complimenting her and making the situation about how great his girlfriend is. And it's just pissing me off because we're really trying to show off how nice Jeremiah is. Only for it to fall apart. In like a little bit, I'm guessing. Like, stop making him so nice. Stop making me like him. If we're gonna ruin him in the next couple minutes, probably. Okay, we found out this early. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm on page 10. What? Like, what else is gonna happen in the book now? Okay, it's a couple hours later. I hope you can hear me because I don't have time to set up my mic right now, so I'm just gonna talk real quick, I guess. I don't know where I left off. So in case you didn't realize, this is a spoiler vlog, in case I haven't said that yet. So if you haven't read the book, if you want to read the book, maybe leave now. But also maybe come back later if you're interested to see what I have to say about it, because generally I went into this knowing what was gonna happen, and still I feel like I was not prepared. So where did I leave off? I'm not sure. I think I talked about how Jeremiah is kinda... It's annoying me because I already knew what was gonna happen to Jeremiah, so it was really obvious that Jenny was trying to make it even worse by telling us before how great and sweet and lovely Jeremiah is. But then that, again, to me feels like it doesn't make any sense now. Why Jeremiah would act this way if he has been like the greatest, sweetest boyfriend for the last 2 years. And I know we're in Belly's POV, so technically we don't know if he has been, but I would believe it because in the first 2 books Jeremiah was a little angel. I know in the TV show he had his icky moments as well, but in the first 2 books he was so sweet. So I just don't see Jeremiah doing this ever in the books. So I was just a little bit annoyed because she kept telling us how great and sweet and lovely he is, just for it to hurt more when we find out. And to me it didn't hurt, it just felt out of character. So I was just a little bit annoyed. I do think at some point Belly said that technically she doesn't know them as well as she thinks she does, because she has always only met the guys in the summer, you know? And that actually made a lot of sense in my opinion. I was thinking, okay, maybe you're onto something here, Jenny. Then it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to anyways, but I just feel like it does make sense because I feel like I'm on vacation right now. I'm a different person than I usually am, I think. Usually on vacation you just feel more like you can do whatever. I feel like, I don't know. So it actually made a lot of sense when Belly said technically she doesn't know them as well as she thought she did, just from the vacation time, and now that she got to know Jeremiah out of the vacation time, he was a lot different than she expected. So I kind of get that. But overall, still, I'm not sure. And I don't know where I'm at right now. Genuinely, I'm gonna get back to you. I'm back. Where did I leave you off? I'm not sure, as always. I'm actually not gonna read now. I'm actually gonna crochet while I listen to the audiobook because it just got available, and it's actually the reason why I started reading the 3rd book again, because I just wanted to have the audiobook where Lola Tongue narrates, because I really enjoyed her acting in the show. I really like her as Belly, and so I'm just very excited to listen to the audiobook with her voice in it. So I'm just gonna crochet now while listening to the audiobook. But I wanted to talk about one scene that I forgot to talk about before. I think I wanted to talk about it later because I just didn't have the time. So wait, where do I have it? Wait, it was at the very beginning, right? So basically Jeremiah chases Belly. We find that out in the very beginning. And obviously I've seen parts of the TV show, like not the show itself, but like I've seen scenes. I am online, you know? And so I've seen the moment when she finds out and they talk about it and all that stuff. And I gotta say, it felt, in my opinion, a little bit underwhelming. As in, like, we don't get the weight of what he did because it's obviously not good. And I feel like in the book it's a lot heavier, so I kind of wanted to read you parts because I think it was just done pretty well. Like, it was really heavy. Like, both of them are just crying, not feeling great. So I'm just gonna read you a part to show you a little bit how heavy it is, in my opinion. I sank onto the floor. My legs couldn't even hold me up. Jeremiah kneeled down beside me and tried to help me up, but I slapped his hand away. Don't touch me. He got on the floor next to me, his head hanging between his knees. Belly, it was when we were on that break, when we were broken up. I stared at him. Our so-called breakup had lasted all of a week. It wasn't even a real breakup, not for me. I always assumed we would get back together. I had cried the whole week. I burst into tears. He didn't say anything. He just sat there and took it, his head hanging down. I don't even know who you are anymore. My stomach lurched. I think I'm gonna be sick. Jeremiah got me a wastebasket by his bed and I threw up, heaving and crying. He tried to rub my back, but I jerked away from him. Don't touch me, I mumbled. I'm sorry, he said. I'm really sorry. Jeremiah was crying now too. Good, I thought. Hurt like you've hurt me. And the scene keeps going for like 2 pages, maybe 3 or 4. And I think it was just really well done, to be honest. And I wanted to talk about it for a second. But now I'm gonna go back to page 50 or something and crochet while I listen to the audiobook. Oh no, I need to explain one more thing. So I think before I showed a scene where Belly and Jeremiah are doing the laundry and I said, see, Jeremiah can do laundry. I feel like I need to explain this for a second, because if you don't remember, in the second book, I think, Conrad comes home from college to meet his family. And it's stated in the book that he only comes home basically because he needed his mom to do his laundry for him, because he didn't want to do it at college. And I was so pissed. At that moment, I was so angry, because what do you mean? Your mother, who is sick with cancer, going through chemo, probably not having a great time, now also has to do your laundry because you're too lazy to do it yourself. And so that's why I said, at least we know Jeremiah can do his laundry.
I wanted to grow up and be just like Kim, because she got to have all of those.
Okay, Taylor has actually become a good bestie in this book. Interesting. They are really trying to convince me now that Conrad has done stuff. They were like, oh, and he always helps out at home, blah, blah, blah. Since when? Need I remind you of the laundry incident? Like, they are really trying to convince me he didn't do like a 180 right now. He has always been like that. Sure. See this glass unicorn? I like it a lot. Like, that's really sweet. And we get a good reason to why it's sweet. Unlike the goddamn infinity likeness. This man literally just said, I never even looked at another girl when we were together. Maybe not when you were together, but you sure as hell were looking at Belly while you were with another girl before. Sir. I cannot take this serious right now. And now he's saying he still loves her. Right before her wedding. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to be on Conrad's side right now, because he told Belly he loved her on the day before her wedding, and now he's pissed that she rejected him on the day before her wedding to his brother. She broke your heart yesterday? Sir, you've been breaking her heart for the past 10 years. Okay, Taylor speaking. Facts. Love that for her. She has really finally grown a little bit in the third book. Okay, Stephen is actually a great brother in this, because I feel like for the first 2 books, he was just non-existent. He was bland. But now he's actually there and showing up for Belly. Love to see it. I hope it's the same in the TV show. I'm definitely gonna watch it when I'm back home after reading this book, though. Okay, I'm finished. I made a couple of these now, in case you care for a sweater vest, by the way. But yeah, what are my thoughts? Now I'm just gonna give another spoiler warning, because I'm gonna talk about the ending. So basically, the whole book, we follow Jeremiah and Belly's wedding. Like, not the wedding itself, but getting ready for the wedding and all of that stuff. Only for Jeremiah to, at the very end, tell Belly, like, no, let's be for real, you love Conrad, it's always been Conrad for you, let's not get married. And then we just get a flash forward, I guess. Basically like a segment of scenes of her backpacking through Europe or something and finding herself. And now, 4 years later, when she's still 23, which is still very young, she's marrying Conrad. And Jeremiah is just like, sure, great, fun, cool, good for you. Are you kidding me? I really hope they just do that a little bit better in the TV show, because I think it can work that she gets back together with Conrad, but we just don't see any of it. We don't really get anything. We're just being told, oh, and then he wrote me letters, and then we're getting married. Like, I just need to get this developed a bit more for me to root for Belly and Conrad. Because so far in the first 2 books, Conrad was the most shitty person ever. And then in the 3rd book, he was alright, but still he wasn't interesting. I didn't know anything about him. There was nothing that I could or should like about him. And we don't get any development. We don't get anything told about them, their relationship together, or Conrad overall. So I really hope in the TV show they do this a lot better, because they already developed Conrad as a character a lot more, I would say, in the first 2 seasons. But I just hope they develop this plot line a little bit more, so that it's not just like a sequence of little fun scenes of her backpacking through Europe and then they're getting married, but rather that we see more of them getting together again, so that there's a reason for us to root for them. I don't understand otherwise how we would. So yeah, those were my thoughts. I'm definitely excited to see the TV show. We'll see how I do it, when I do it. But yeah, those were my initial thoughts right after reading right now. And there's the siren going off. Maybe you can't hear it because I hope you can't hear it because of the mic, but it's pretty loud. And I'm gonna start my next book now, which is Muse of Nightmares, if you know that. Such a good book series. And I'm gonna keep crocheting for my sweater vest. Okay, bye. Okay, so it's been so long, I genuinely don't even remember how much I talked about the book on my vacation. So let's just see what I remember. So in my opinion, the books really didn't give you any any reason to root for Conrad. Like, I'm so sorry. In the TV show, I can totally understand if you're Team Conrad. I personally don't like him, but I can see a person being Team Conrad, especially in the 3rd season. The first 2, I still think you're kind of weird, but but in the 3rd season, I can see it a little bit. Not in the books though, because in the books we don't really get anything from this man. Like, I'm so sorry. In the first book, we're following Belly. Belly is just in love with this man who genuinely the only thing he ever does is diminish her and tell her how ugly her hair is, or how shitty she looks without glass. I don't know. He's just really mean to her, okay? The whole time in the first book. I don't feel like we get any nice moments between them. And I also don't feel like we get anything from Comrade. Like, we don't learn what he likes. We don't really know anything about him. And I feel like that the TV show did a lot better immediately, because in the first season we already get a lot more on Conrad as a person. Like, we find out that he likes sailing and stuff like that. And we see him smile once in a while when he's on the boat with Cleveland, or what his name was. We just get to see him have a personality. We get to see him be a character with actual character traits. And we don't get that in the first book at all, okay? So then we come to the second book. In the second book, we get Belly's POV, and we also get Jeremiah's POV. So we're still not getting anything about Conrad. We're in the second book of a 3-book series where Conrad is gonna be endgame, and we don't know shit about this man. So in the second book, like I said, we have Jeremiah's POV, and so we just get all of these sweet moments and things where we learn about how he already liked Belly for such a long time, but he figured she has had a crush on Conrad since she was like 5, so obviously it's not gonna happen for him. But he has just always thought she was just so sweet and cute and lovely, and it's just so amazing. Like, we just love Jeremiah in the second book. I don't understand how you could like Conrad. I'm so sorry, but I don't understand. And so basically, after the first 2 books, if you're Team Conrad, like I said, this is insane to me. You have to be Team Jeremiah, because Jeremiah is a sweet little angel in the book. Like, I know in the first season he's a little bit like manipulative with Belly and Conrad, but he doesn't do that after like the one time that we see him do that, and that's that. And in the books, he doesn't do it at all, okay? So season 1, season 2, and book 1, 2, I'm freaking Team Jeremiah, obviously. Although in season 1, I think I was Team No One, to be honest. But in season 2, I was Team Jeremiah. I thought he was kind of sweet. And like I said, in the books, he's a perfect, cute little angel who doesn't do anything wrong. And then we get to the third book, where Jenny Han realized that Conrad sucks and Jeremiah's perfect, but she just doesn't want Belly with Jeremiah, so now we have to figure out how to do that. And so the best way to do that is obviously to make Jeremiah cheat on Belly, which makes no sense. Genuinely, in the books and in the TV show, to me, it just made no sense character-wise. And of course, I've talked about this with my friends, and they have said, for example, that in season 1, Jeremiah was talking about, ooh, I hooked up with that person, that person, that person, that person. So we do know that he's kind of a player. But even in season 1, he talks to Steven and he tells him very sincerely that he has not hooked up with anyone since he realized that Belly might like him. And so it's just so obvious to me that he didn't do any of that after he realized that Belly, the love of his life, I guess, whatever, likes him back. You know? So it just feels so out of character for sweet, lovely Jeremiah in the books, okay? Like, genuinely, in the books, he's a sweet little angel. For him to do this just comes completely out of nowhere. It makes no fucking sense, and it's clearly just the writer trying to figure out a way to get us back to Team Conrad, which is just not gonna happen. I'm sorry. And it also really annoyed me because I feel like if you're gonna do that, you have to give me some signs. Even in the third book, when Jenny Han knew that this was gonna happen, in this book, the whole book, we only learn about how sweet and lovely Jeremiah is, which you could obviously see as Belly just not realizing because it's her POV, but still, it just comes completely out of nowhere to me, and I just hate when characters aren't written well and developed. You know, when they just act out of character. So I don't know. I was so annoyed with that plot point. Genuinely, I still cannot get over it. Like, there could have been a better, more healthy, mature way to get Belly and Jeremiah to break up, because it's just so obvious that Belly loves Conrad and has always loved him, which is also really unhealthy. But like, there could have been other ways to get them to kind of break this relationship up, I guess, and get her back together with Conrad, other than just making Jeremiah do something that he would just never do as a character. I don't know. Also, because I have to say, I started reading the third book when the third season was already coming out, so I already knew about Jeremiah cheating, and I expected it to be a bigger plot in the book. But in the book, it's literally like 5 pages in, like I think on page 10 or something, we already get the reveal, and then Belly's like pissed for 5 minutes, and then they want to get married. So it's the whole pacing of the book was just insane. Okay, I don't remember a specific scene, but I also wrote down that Jeremiah in the third book starts to act more like Conrad did in the first 2 books. So basically, Jenny had to switch their personalities for Conrad to be likable, which is so funny to me. But then literally 5 minutes later, because those were the notes that I made while I was reading the book, literally 5 minutes later I wrote down, oh no, he just called her way too emotional. Still our lovely, nice Conrad, huh? So he actually doesn't change, but we're still supposed to root for him. I don't know. Oh, but I don't know if I talked about this in my other reaction part video, I guess. But we get this one scene where Conrad gets her a glass unicorn. And I feel like this scene is glossed over so much, like even in the TV show. And I think it's a really good scene that could show how we could maybe like Conrad for reasons, you know? But we didn't get into it so much. We always hang onto this goddamn infinity necklace, which, if you don't know, I have a whole thing. I explained it before in another video. I hate this goddamn infinity necklace. It makes no sense to me that this is a sweet moment between Conrad and Belly. And why am I screaming? I need to calm down. It just makes no sense. And I feel like the unicorn would have been a way sweeter gesture thingy to connect to, like, Belly and Conrad as a relationship. What I also wrote down, what really annoyed me, was that in the third book, for some reason, like I said, we're supposed to be Team Conrad. And that also means we should side with Conrad about things that he does. where it, in my opinion, makes no sense that we should side with Conrad. So basically, in the scene when Conrad tells Belly that he loves her the day before she's marrying his brother, it's framed like we're supposed to be on his side. Like Belly is the one in the wrong for being angry at him doing that and for rejecting him on the day before her wedding. Like, it just feels so wrong to me that the author is trying to convince me that Conrad is the one in the right in this moment. Because even if Belly should not marry him, you also should not tell her you love her and she should run away with you the day before her wedding. Like, that's also really toxic. Okay, so then we're getting to the ending, which let's get into it. So basically, the whole book, we're just there for the wedding. Like, we're working up to the wedding just for then, like 5 minutes before the wedding, Jeremiah talking to Belly and being like, well, but like, I know you love Conrad. Which is like, bestie, you could have realized that a little bit earlier. Like, really, 5 minutes before your own wedding, you're like, but like, when you think about it, actually, you like Conrad. And we all know that. And we've all known that. And especially, he's just telling Belly how she's supposedly feels.
You lose yourself and become like her, so you get to know him like she knows him.
I was protecting her?
And then basically the wedding's off, and we get this like 2 pages or something, maybe just 1 page of Belly being like, oh yeah, and then I backpacked across Europe and Conrad wrote me letters. And that's it. And then we're like 4 years later, I think, and she's marrying Conrad. And that's the ending. And that's also insane to me because everyone was telling her how she shouldn't marry Jeremiah because they had only been together for like 3 years. If she's marrying Conrad 4 years later, that means she hopefully did not get back together with Conrad 5 minutes after the wedding. So hopefully she waited like at least 6 months, a year. So they have only been together for 3 years as well. She's gonna be 23, I think, because I think in the books she's 19 in the third book. So she marries him at 23, which is also still so young. But somehow now everyone is fine with it. Everyone is happy about it because it's Conrad. And I think this ending is just completely stupid. So basically, when I finished the book, I was like praying, hoping that they did it better in the TV show. So let's talk about the TV show. So let me just start overall by saying that the TV show did a lot better, in my opinion. I actually had a great time. It's so funny because I never watched the show because there are some of these type of shows that are just bad. You know what I mean? And I figured this one would just be similar, but genuinely, I think it's actually a pretty good show. Like, I had a good time. Like, the acting is so good. Genuinely, the only reason, like, literally, one of the biggest reasons why I ended up watching the show was because I saw this clip of Jeremiah and Taylor, and I just thought the acting was so good that I thought I would watch the whole season just because I wanted to see more of Taylor's acting, especially.
No, I have always been on your side. You're not getting off on this, like, technicality. You were broken up for all of 2 seconds, Jeremiah. Don't turn it around on me. You were supposed to be the ideal. You were supposed to deserve her.
Like, literally, if Taylor cries, I cry, okay? So let's start with the good things. So basically, about Conrad, they really mostly, I think, addressed almost everything that I said was pissing me off in the book. So basically, Conrad took accountability for being a shitty person in the first 2 seasons, because I'm sorry, but he was, okay? And nothing can excuse his behavior, in my opinion. But he actually takes responsibility for it. He says that he knows it was wrong and shitty, but he was a teenager. And now he has grown, he's going to therapy. By the way, why can't everyone go to therapy? That again shows me that just the creators very much favor Conrad as like a character we're supposed to root for, because they could have sent the other characters to therapy as well, but they didn't. And I'm sorry, but I genuinely don't feel like Conrad would have gone to therapy on his own as the character that he was in season 1 and 2. I'm so sorry, but no. But just overall, I really think that they brought up the things that Conrad did wrong a lot in this season, and he basically like apologized for it, or just, like I said, explained that he was a teenager and he knows that his actions can't be excused, but he has grown now and hopes to be a better person. And I really appreciate that. I think that's good. However, then we get to the bad parts, because like I said, I feel like in the beginning of the third season, Conrad was a good character. But then we get towards the end, and in my opinion, we really just see that Conrad hasn't changed that much, because then we get to Paris.
I'm in Paris.
So let's start at the beginning of Paris. I actually really like that Belly gave Conrad shit. I've seen so many Belly haters again in this season because Belly was giving Conrad so much shit, but I personally think he just deserves it considering how he treated her in the first 2 seasons. And literally everything that she talked about, being stressed and scared of being with him, made so much sense because he has been telling her he loves her and then pulling back and then telling her he loves her again and pulling back again. So I can understand that she just wanted to be sure that this is not gonna be another time where Conrad just jumps to Paris out of the blue and then 5 minutes later he decides, no, actually I don't want to do this, I can't do this again, and runs off again. So I really understand Belly in that perspective, and I really, really had a great time when Belly was bashing Conrad. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people hated this. I had the time of my life. I thought it was so funny. And then, like I said, in Paris, in my opinion, we see the Conrad facade drop immediately again. Because, like I said, you had convinced me that he was actually a good guy now, that he had grown up, that he had changed from being this annoying, moody little teenager that just some teenagers are. But then you hit me with,
Well, you'll always be the boy who taught me how to ride a scooter, so.
Hey, I'll always be the boy who taught you how to ride a bike.
and to me, these scenes just show that Conrad has not changed. He is still so possessive over Belly. Like, as soon as another person likes her, he immediately jumps in and goes like, but don't you remember, like, I was the first guy, blah, 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 blah. Sir, it's not all about you. And also, people have different relationships with other people. Like, so to me, these were just like typical behaviors that Conrad showed in the first 2 seasons when he was being so possessive over Belly with the whole Jeremiah and Cam thing. And so it just felt like he hadn't changed as much as I hoped. But still, I was fine with them getting together. Genuinely, the show just looked like they would do it so much better than in the book, where we just like gloss over them getting together again. And it's just like, and now they're married. And you're like, what? But I didn't get to see the development of their relationship. So I really hope the show would do that. But of course they didn't, because why would they make it better than the book? Why would they? So I personally really hated how Belly and Conrad got back together again. Because like I said, I feel like the show was on the verge. Like, they were so close to doing it better than the book. Like, they had a great setup, okay? So basically, like I said, in the book, Jeremiah's and Belly's wedding is off. She goes away. We just get like one line of her saying, and Conrad started writing me. And then we jump forward 5 years and she's marrying Conrad. And I really didn't like that because, like I said, in the books, you don't get a lot of Conrad. Like, we don't know Conrad as a person. I feel like we needed to get to know Conrad more, and also just needed to see how Belly and Conrad get back together again. It was just, in my opinion, not a great ending. I also usually really just don't like time jumps because, like I said, to me, it feels like you're just gonna skip over things that you don't know how to write, like how to get them back together, for example. I don't know. But like I said, the TV show had a great setup because Belly is going to Paris, and then Conrad starts writing her, but at first she doesn't respond because she just doesn't want Conrad to be in her life right now. Like, she wants to know what life would be like without having Conrad in it, and overall, like, the Fisher boys, I guess. So here's what I thought was gonna happen. I thought, like I said, Belly was gonna ignore his letters, but then maybe after like 6-7 months, who knows, a year, she would actually write him back. And then maybe they would start writing letters, like all cutesy, and she's telling him about her life in Paris, he's telling her about being a med student, I don't know. And then after like a little time, they start talking on the phone again, maybe, like they did in season 2, I think. And it's again like this whole thing where they are on the phone again and just talking about these mundane things, like not talking about anything relationship related at all, but just becoming friends again at first. And then maybe Conrad visits her, because why not? They are friends again. Now he can visit her again. But literally, there is nothing going on. They are just friends, and they genuinely just want to be friends again because they just have known each other so long and have loved each other as like a different type of relationship, you know? And so maybe he visits her and nothing happens. They are friends, like I said, and nothing remotely in any way like underlining something romantic is happening. Nothing. Okay? They are friends. And then he leaves again, and then maybe then they start to realize, okay, now that we've seen each other, actually, it's kind of harder to be apart again. And they realize that maybe they start to miss each other, even though they are still talking all the time on the phone and FaceTiming, whatever. And then, after like a longer amount of time, that they have both had time to grow, and we see them grow as people apart from each other, outside from this relationship with each other. That's when maybe Conrad comes again to Paris, or Belly comes home again, something like that. And that's when they finally maybe get together again. You know? I don't know. I feel like, and that's when they could have had the whole talk about Belly being like, well, but you hurt me before, and I know I've changed, and I know you've changed, so I really don't think it's gonna happen again, but I just need to make sure, and something. I don't know. I feel like it could have been easy to do that. But no, instead we just get Conrad stalking her to Paris, and Belly being like, what the hell are you doing here? What is going on? But then just for fun, she just gets back together with him. And again, I feel like they made it all about Conrad, because she was talking about how at the beginning his letters kept her going there. And it just annoyed me so much, because I still feel like Belly had to grow apart from these boys. And they had to grow apart from her. And so I was just annoyed with the ending, okay? I really think the ending could have been a lot better. Because otherwise, like I said, I had a good time. Was it filmed a little bit weirder and more awkward this season? Yes. But overall, I had a good time, you know? Oh no, also Taylor and Steven. Hated that storyline at the beginning, because I feel like they just made this whole cheating plotline to justify Belly getting back together with Jeremiah again, because if her best friend and her brother are cheaters, it's okay that she gets back together with a cheater. And I really did not like that. I feel like there could have been a better way to write Belly getting back together with Jeremiah without making Taylor and Steven shitty people, because that made it really hard to root for them for me. Because why would I root for cheaters? Like, it's so weird. Like, we're supposed to hate Jeremiah for doing this, but then we're supposed to love Steven and Taylor together for doing the exact same thing. I don't know. I didn't like that. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now about this season. Like I said, overall, I had a good time, okay? I did feel like it was a bit more tacky. Like, it felt a lot more Hollywood. I don't know how else to explain it. But like, the first 2 seasons, in my opinion, felt more real. It felt more like I was watching real people. And the 3rd season felt like a rom-com. Like, I was watching a rom-com that did not feel like reality. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Genuinely, I'm wondering if it was definitely like the camera work that was different this season. And I don't know if it was the dialogue, because I feel like the acting was good. Like I said, the actors are pretty good. So I don't know 100% what was going on there. But yeah, they kept doing these weird shots, and let's not talk about camera angles the whole video, okay? So yeah, overall, I had a good time. Like I said, I did think it was a well-made show. I'm definitely intrigued for the movie, although at this point I'm like, enough, Jenny, enough. You already have EXO Kitty. We don't need even more sequels, prequels, whatever. I think that's all I have to say about The Summer I Turned Pretty. We'll see if this is the last video I make about this, or who knows what the movie is gonna be. So yeah. Also, I was wondering, do you think the movie has already been shot? Because I feel like it might be. I feel like they have already filmed the movie, and that maybe it's gonna come out sooner than we think, but that's just my guess. I don't know. Thank you so much for being here. Definitely tell me your opinions, because I need to talk about it. Genuinely, it was something. Like, this show was something. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye!